And we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Hello and welcome, Andy and Jared, Cleveland and beyond. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson, and this podcast is brought to you by Waiting for Next Year. Check them out. Original Cleveland sports reporting at waitingfornextyear.com. Celebrate with us. This is our 100th episode. Holy shit. We've been doing this show. It feels like, like a year and a half now, Andy? 100 episodes in the can. Here we are, and no better way to do it than bringing you some doom and gloom here today. For those of you who prefer the glass to be half empty, this show's for you. The Browns' injuries are mounting, and word is offensively they look like straight up trash today too. Not that matters. It's training camp, but we'll see. The Indians still can't hit, losing 3 out of 4. Holy shit, they left like 10 men on base yesterday. That was insane. And the Cavs are selecting 5th in the upcoming draft, which was kind of a bummer to most of us. Buckle up, everyone. Grab your White Claw or Vista Bay, because I've been having the Vista Bays. No, this is homemade apple cider wine today, Andy. And get ready. Let's start with your Cleveland Browns.
Happy 100th show to us all. We bring you today some cloudiness, but we enjoy the show. For everyone who follows us and gives us emails and tweets and comments, we love you all. Thank you. Sadly, hold your ankles. This is going to be a tough show. The 200 show is going to be much more enlightening. Holy cow. I mean, you talk about getting dragged through glass. Wow. We're going to start off with the Browns today. The latest injury is Grant Delpit, who was going to be a major person on this team. He goes down. He ruptured his Achilles tendon, so he is gone. We'll see him next year. After this, the COVID stories, you just check on Twitter, injuries mounting, the offense that's just missing, gone. It doesn't matter who you read. Everybody thinks the offense stinks. This would have been a lot for the Browns, and I was trying to, on a podcast previously, to say, I see hope. Let's keep driving. Let's just hold hands here. I believe in this new group. I like Andrew Berea a lot. I like Stefanski from what I hear so far. Let's hold on. Even I have lost my life raft. Even I am swimming down the deep pool saying, holy shit, there's a lot more drowning. I mean, this is suffocating.
The Cuyahoga caught fire today again.
Who?
Cuyahoga caught fire again today, in case you didn't know about that either.
Well,
add that to the list.
Full circle. Full circle. The good news is that there's no games have been played for the Browns, but even I, who have been trying to find sunshine and whatever else, for those who are worried the Browns are going to be overhyped coming season, your fears are no longer met. If for those of you who are wondering, oh my gosh, the Browns, it's going to be hard to deciding who's going to be playing, you don't have to worry because we can't even keep players on the field right now. And by the way, the players on offense are all healthy and they seem to stink. No one seems to like him outside of Harrison Bryant and OBJ. Everybody else thinks, and occasional Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. We're going to get to all this. I will say, though, even for me, who was trying to believe in this new energy of Stefanski and Barry, holding hands, really enjoying it, I am foggy Eeyore today. I am having a hard time.
We have to be because we realize and we recognize that Grant Delpit was supposed to be a huge part of this defense. Part of it was because he can play safety and corner, and they plan on going with 3 safety set, and he was going to be a part of it, right? This is a part of the scheming. Now, granted, what I'm hearing is that the Browns want to continue to go with that same setup, to go with 3 safety deep. We'll see how that works out. We'll see if other people can, it's next man up, that saying all the time. What threw me through a loop, Andy, because I didn't really look at the numbers because I just haven't wanted to look at these numbers, but we've got 9 injured players so far already since training camp started, right? Daryl Ryder listed them earlier today. Kevin Johnson, Terrence Mitchell, David Njoku, Larry Ogunjobi, Damian Ratley, J.C. Treader, Mac Wilson, Grant Delpit, and Greedy Williams. Now, granted, some of these guys are going to be fine. Some of them are back. All this stuff. At the end of the day, though, this is becoming an issue. I was looking earlier during practice and seeing Twitter light up because Jarvis Landry walked into the building before practice was over. So everyone's on edge at this moment in time. Everyone's nervous about what's going on with this Browns team. But I will come back to this too. This is what I've been writing out throughout the entire training camp session, throughout all of this, throughout everything before the season starts. And that is, I don't care until week 1 starts. I am doing my best to not throw a fit and to not get overly elated at anything that goes on with this Browns team right now. What I will say is, too, I don't think it's time to start making judgments on how many games a team's going to win this year, but I also don't think it's crazy to assume that the team might only win 5 games. Our friend Tony Grossi, your friend mainly, Tony Grossi, he said he's looking at possibly 5 games this year, and apparently Brown's Twitter lit up as if that was a huge issue. Let's be real about this, folks. Let's be real about this. What in the world makes you think, from anything we have seen in the past 20 years, that 5 wins is out of the question? Now, we joke around all the time on this show, and we try all the time to stay optimistic and talk about 10 wins, talk about 11 wins, talk about 9 wins, talk about maybe inching into the playoffs, talk about finally having the right coaching staff, talk about finally on the right path, setting the new standard, all the things that we need in Cleveland. But in 20 years, since we've been watching, Andy, it has not happened. It has not happened. So, is it really that crazy for a reporter to give an honest answer and say, you know what? I'm calling 5 wins. Because at the end of the year, when he's right, you're all going to sound like assholes. I'm tired of everyone picking on Tony over the dumbest shit.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And there's some people who I actually like, and they're really
going to take your analysis from a guy who's been doing it for 30 years, which of course we joke because that's what he says all the time, or a guy who wears a melon on his head or whatever it is.
Yeah, and let's go a step further. This is if this was just injuries, okay. A COVID-19 scare, okay. An offense that's been recorded as looking very. I mean, look, let's listen to the comments from Alex Van Peltz. I thought his comments rang very true about the situation going on with this team. He basically said, we have to start ramping it up. Like, this has to start kicking into gear. The urgency is high right now, end quote. Quote, through training camp, the installation, we're trying to figure out who we really are. Right. We did not have a lot of time in the spring. Okay, if you deal with one of these, it happens. If you just have injuries, but your offense looks good and you're not having COVID-19 issues, okay. The Browns have had all fucking 3 in 72 hours. And you can't, everyone, Zach Jackson, to Tony Grossi, to Daryl Ryder, everyone's saying, it doesn't look good. The offense looks really bad. And Jake Trotter, who has been very neutral.
Hayden Grove was saying it too.
Jake Trotter's been very neutral on this. Even he said today, if it wasn't for some touchdown happened late in the practice today, and this is on Tuesday, the 25th, it would have been a horrible backwards day on a day where the defense is banged up. Folks, I'm there. I think 5-6 wins is right. I can't believe how this has turned. I don't know what else to do. This is not good. I'm not seeing the signals of hope. That they're buried under storyline, and David Njoku's got
wrist Andrew
injuries. What now? Yeah, I don't know. I just look. You got to be realistic. Now there hasn't been a game yet, sure, and look. They have 2 more weeks to figure this out. Absolutely. But this team is behind. It's not going well. You can't say it is. Honestly, Jarid follows it, so do I. I look for everywhere. No one else is talking about their training camps outside of the Berea. Every goddamn day there's a story, and it's always injuries, or it's always about something going wrong, and Baker looks crappy. And then on Sunday, which was nothing in the Browns' control, they had this COVID-19 story. It's just mounting. It doesn't stop. Sunday, COVID-19, Delpa injury. Today, the offense stinks. It just is non-stop. I'm in an abusive relationship with the Browns. I can't stop getting hit in the head with negative crap. Sorry, it's not going well. And I want hope. I want hope now. I want it. I don't hear it.
I think you need to jump on board with me, Andy. This is why you need to jump on board with me. I'm not getting overly worked up either way.
No, it's usually the opposite.
Jared. Yeah, you're right. I mean, and again, it just goes back to Andy. It just goes back to this. we have made preseason assessments about this team every single year. I'm not going to do it right now. We have time to see what happens when they get out on the field. We can't be the only shit show of a training camp.
I'm with Jared. Who else has had this?
Well, I don't know. I don't follow anyone else.
Jared, I watch everything on ESPN. You don't see these stories anywhere.
You're looking from the outside, from the inside out.
Well, wait, Jared, what other training camps had really crappy news every day? Tell me. I'm ready. I'm listening.
Again, I don't know.
The thing is, you would hear about that on the national level. The Browns keep dealing with stuff day after day after day after. You know what they talk about in Steelers camp? Brendan Roethlisberger looks good. You know what I hear about in the Ravens camp? Outside of Earl Thomas, everything's going okay there. Like the Bengals, Joe Burrow and that team's whizzing down the field on.
Don't get overly hyped up. Listen, again, you can get excited, and that's the other issue too. Is you might not be hearing anything bad about the Cincinnati Bungles right now or the Pittsburgh Steelers. You might not be hearing anything bad about those teams right now. That's fine. That doesn't mean it's going to work out on the field once the season starts. Now, granted, again, this is very Browns. This is, and I'm just,
Jared,
I'm not going to lose my mind yet. And we also know this, with this Stefanski group, with this COVID-19 season, why should we expect anything other than a pain in the ass, scary sometimes, awful preseason training camp situation? What were we really expecting?
Jared, what has gone right in preseason for the Browns so far in camp? Nothing.
They showed up.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Jared, nothing's gone right. I mean, if your offense looks crappy, you're one of your leaders on your team, JC Treader, suddenly has surgery, and you haven't even put on a shoe, and then your first real drill, your best talented player on probably both sides of the ball outside of Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb has a concussion. That just happened on one play.
That's pretty awful.
Jared, nothing's gone right. Now, Jared's right, and I was going to come back with this. So let me make sure I explain my point. It doesn't equate to wins or losses, but it's hard feeling good. Mm-hmm. It's hard feeling good about this. It's hard. I read everything. Even I am like, oh, I don't even want to look today, but crap, let's see what happened today in training camp. Like I'm there. It's hard. I will say it doesn't mean you're going to get blown out by the Ravens. But hard for me to say anything else right now either.
I mean, the Ravens have had a little issue in their training camp. So
Earl Thomas is not playing nice. And you know what? He's by the way, he might become Berea. The Browns don't have anybody.
I know.
There.
Well, good. Bring him.
Well,
you think he would love to take it out on them?
I just look. Here's the thing. Injuries aside, we're going to find out how well Dorsey, because this is some of Dorsey players, and how well Berea has managed his offseason, because the depth of the chart will play in there. You can't do anything about injuries. Grant Delpit is sad. I feel terrible. He was going to play a key role in this team.
Awful.
Greedy Williams being hurt is also not good. And by the way, he is still being evaluated according to today's Stefanski. Yeah. He's not back on the field yet. And Greedy Williams didn't play well last year.
Right.
And now he's hurt. That kind of stuff stinks. All these things happening. COVID-19, thank God, it was all false positives. But again, it set the tone. I will say, though, everyone, and Van Pelt's comments rang true to me. Like, you can tell. He's like, the urgency is high right now. You know why he's saying that? Because he knows they're not playing well. This is like, it's okay, they have time to fix it. But all you can do is go on the optics and the stories, and the optics and the stories tell you, this is not... If the defense is banged up and the offense sucks, uh-oh. And they're bringing in kickers for Cyber? Uh-oh. I mean, what are we doing? It's hard getting excited and fired up. Doesn't mean they can't be. And by the way, if Stefanski pulls a rabbit out of his hat and pulls a season out of this, hey, we have finally found our savior. Hail, Francona, move over. Stefanski gets a seat. But this is a lot to overcome, Jared. I just know what I know. Like, this is a lot to overcome, and let's go there. Well, Baker Mayfield could use some positive news from the press this week. After their day off on Wednesday, he needs a positive week of practice. He does.
Andy, when they're having these, I don't think you're getting a full view of implementing the running game that they're going to implement on the field when they're having these practices. And that is going to have a big effect on what this offense looks like in this training camp.
So here's the savior. Jared hit it. Hand the ball off to 24 in the cream hunt.
It's going to change everything. I mean, you're talking about training camp right now. You're not talking about full pads playing it. It's not the same. It's not going to be the same.
No. We all see. Everyone agrees. Again, it's not about this going into. We all know this. It's like spring training. As soon as the first pitch happens in the first game, as soon as the ball gets kicked off, all that stuff is gone.
Yeah.
It's just the vibe going into that game. It's all about the vibe going into that game.
Well, and it is going to be very strange going into that game without having a preseason.
That's my point.
Under your belt.
That's my point.
I don't necessarily. I don't know that I look, Andy. I'm just saying we don't know what the hell is going to happen.
No. You do you hear me?
And so
I agree.
Because of that, and because of that, I am just being a little bit more reserved in wanting to throw a fit. Believe me, if they look like a shit show come week 1, we're going to get on here and I'm going to lose my fucking mind. And you already know that.
Well, right.
I'm going to lose it. And we know that already.
But right. And see, you and I are saying the same thing. All I'm saying, it's like a hurricane. You're seeing the warning. I shouldn't
tell you how to feel, Andy. You're right. I understand why you're worked up right now.
You're seeing someone saying, "Oh my!" Like you're seeing people like waving flags, saying, "This is not good." And again, if it's from one or two people or outlets, which I was seeing at times, I was like, okay. Like I was telling Jared last week, it was very little variation. Last 4 or 5 days, the drum beat's getting louder, and louder,
right? And louder. We know, we heard it. We knew of the complaints that were coming in regarding the offense. I'm just not.
No, it doesn't matter once they kick the ball off, and it doesn't on Sunday 13th. No one cares. No one cares. It's all about wins and how you're going to win that game.
Which, by the way, how ready are you for that?
The way the preseason is going, just turn off the lights in Berea and see it on the 13th. I mean, I can't.
Everyone go home. Oh, take your ice baths.
Oh, and by the way, God bless all of you watching practice. How the fuck are you making it through the day? Oh, I mean, I just can't, Jared. I gotta be honest. It's nothing about on the field in week 1, but the build up to this game. Like it's so funny, and maybe it will reverse course. God, could you imagine? But like last year is building up to these things. It was 6-10. God, you just hope it's built. Okay, it's building up the exact opposite of this year, where everything you do, it's like, well, the good news is today is no one got hurt, but the offense looked crappy. Monday, Delpit's out for the year. Sunday, COVID-19 test problems. It just never stops.
The good news was Nick Chubb bounced back really quickly after coming out of concussion protocol. So that's good news. That's there.
Very good news.
I mean, I don't know. Do we have any other good news? Any?
Look, here's okay, ready? There's 3 players who I keep hearing about a lot that's on a positive note. Harrison Bryant, the rookie. You hear a lot of good things about him. Up until today, I guess Hooper had one of those weird days, but Hooper's been great. The tight end from the Falcons is going to be a star. Everything you hear, he is going to get the ball out, and he's going to do big things. Chubb and Hunt, who don't do a lot, but when they touch the ball, they do great. And we like him, and I'm supporting him, even though I didn't like that article he did. OBJ has looked fantastic.
Yep.
I mean, fantastic. And I'm happy for him. And I love him, and I'm rooting for him hard. Those are all good things. David Njoku, I heard this today, and I'm starting to hear more of it. I think he's on his way out. I think you can just start zipping up that trade deal and whatever that's going to be, and you can already hear the rumors.
Yeah, and a lot of that's coming straight back down to the fact that he's having issues catching the ball.
Wrist. Catching the ball is still an issue. Wrist issues, and also too, if Harrison Bryant and Hooper are playing that well, you start looking around. You're like, if you need a third tight end, David Njoku's not your third tight end. You should probably just. And the Browns actually need bodies. They actually could use. They need to make a trade for David Njoku for a good cornerback or safety.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, they really do.
And you know what? That makes a ton of sense right now. That makes a ton of sense because you have to. You have to. When Delpit's out for the entire season, and you were looking forward to basically scheming around him in the secondary like that, you got to do something. I don't know where they're going to go for it, but
knock on some doors. Get a safety in here. Get a cornerback in here. You need. And by the way, Delpit's a huge injury. I agree with Jared. Everyone says it. We all knew it. We knew when we drafted Delpit what we're getting. We're getting a guy you never want to come out and say it. But Jedrick Wills is going to start, yes. Now, because of maybe the injury to Treader, the kid out of Washington is going to start. Sure, Harris. Yeah. Okay, whatever. We knew Delpit was going to start. We all knew. That was a big injury. And now when you're hearing about Grady Williams still being evaluated, you really need a safety. You probably need another cornerback. If you can get Njoku out for one of those, you have to do it. And that interview Njoku gave last week was bizarre and lukewarm. That guy is not giving you the vibe. He is having a great time in Berea. And Jared's alluding to it. He has been dropping passes. Another guy, too, who's been playing very well up until he had he had a heat issue was Peoples-Jones. People have been excited about him, too. In fact, there's a great list that Jack Jackson put out from The Athletic. I'm going to go down to this for a second. A rising and falling list. This is pre the COVID story on Sunday. So this came out Sunday morning. Porter Gustin on the rising list. I've heard this from many outlets too. A lot of people like him. In fact, he is passing Chad Thomas, who's on the falling list for this. Who I've heard this too. People have not been impressed with Chad Thomas, and I've heard Porter Gustin's looked really good so far. Up until his injury, which he's still hurt, MJ Stewart, who should be back, but he got hurt. Great things, rising star. Harrison Bryant, we just mentioned. Defensive line and Kareem Hunt with his other rising stars. Not surprised about the defensive line as a whole because...
Well, once you get Olivier Vernon rolling, which wasn't the case last season, and the interior of that line, watch out.
If Gustin is a good third, along with Adrian Claiborne, they have 4 good defensive ends.
Good.
They need that. The Browns need that.
Yeah.
Browns don't really have a history of this outside of Garrett, to be honest.
Fresh legs. I
mean, Michael Dean Perry was great in the 90s, but he played where Ogunjobi played. To have a guy who can actually sack the quarterback at will, like Garrett, and have a couple other guys around it, it's great. And Kareem Hunt, I think Kareem Hunt's going to have a huge year. To Jared's point, here's where hope comes out before we get to the other negative crap. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb give this team hope. I hope they run the ball 40 times. I want to hear 23-13. Run the ball, throw the ball tight end. And then when you get them enough, play action pass. And by the way, I keep hearing this too. A lot of bootlegging from 6. A lot of moving around from 6. He did that.
Which is what we always liked about him.
Yes, he did that a lot in 18. Don't be surprised.
That's how you kept him from getting scared in the pocket too. Yeah, they should have done it more last season. And I want to vomit.
What was your favorite bubble screen?
No, stop. We're not doing it.
Dontrell Hilliard out in the flat in the Seattle game. Oh, interception.
No.
No, nothing against him. All right, to the falling.
Well,
Damian Ratley's been injured from day one. You haven't heard anything about him.
Which, by the way, whatever.
Bye. Sorry. If anybody who heard our podcast last year, he's overrated. He stinks. Goodbye. Take care.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, Damian, but if we have to see you out on the field, then we know things aren't going good for the Browns.
Yes. The first name's more of a shock. Higgins has not done much up until today. He caught a touchdown today.
He's the one who caught it was the last pass of the day. Yeah.
Yes. Higgins has been very quiet, and it's been getting more and more rumbles from Zach Jackson. I've heard Tony Grossi speak about this too. Higgins has not had an impact on these camps. So when you start hearing that from multiple outlets, it's noticeable. You start hearing that chatter more and more. Yeah. DJ Montgomery, who actually has been playing better lately, but he came out on this list. He did have a better practice today, so we'll keep that in mind. Chad Thomas has talked about. And then to the conundrum of the offensive line. I was going to talk about this too. I have not heard bad things about the offensive line, but I have not heard anything about the offensive line. And it's hard because especially in practice, it's hard to gauge. And I know this, it's hard to gauge. I will say, in fairness, I don't know what to say about the offensive line other than like we knew coming in, even before the J.C. Treader injury, what was ahead for this team, and especially for Wills, who's playing left tackle. There's going to be a lot of pressure on this because from the perception is you add Jack Conklin, you get someone like Wills in there, your offensive line should greatly improve. Right. I don't know how to rate the offensive line because obviously we're not watching it. And Zach is the first one to point out he doesn't think that they're playing that great and he's worried about it. I will say I'm not surprised to read this. I just don't know what to make of it. And again, J.C. Treader's out. So that's another big injury.
Well, again, we're not going to be able to get a full assessment whatsoever until week 1. We're not going to be able to, especially including the pluses on the defensive line, Andy.
Yeah.
There's only so much attack on either side of the ball on those lines during those practices that I don't know that we're going to get a full view of what they look like until week 1.
Oh, no, we're not.
And you're going to be able to tell, hopefully, by scheme, by the offensive play calling, what this coaching staff believes this offensive line is capable of.
Yes.
So, and to me, if they're rolling out Baker a lot, they're looking out. They're trying to make things a little easier in that sense. And they've got the offensive weapons to do it as well. When you're talking about 2 running backs, a fullback, 2 tight ends, and Odell Beckham Jr., and of course Jarvis Landry, who's been the workhorse anyways for the Browns for the past couple of years. So let's just wait and see how they implement all of this on week 1. As long as Baker can walk out of there without getting his ass kicked all over the field, I would call that a success. No? I mean, because that's a big fear. We haven't even really talked about that. As much as we need this offensive line to at least hold their own, because we can't have a skittish Baker back there because he'll throw interceptions. He'll force things. He'll do things he shouldn't do. He'll do everything we hated about last year. And oh, by the way, he's going to get hurt. How he survived last year, he's going to get hurt if they don't protect his ass, period. So
he did a lot of this at Oklahoma, running out of the pocket.
Yeah.
So I like this idea. He also did a lot of that when they were successful in 18. So I like this a lot. I'm totally down with him doing this kind of stuff. I think it's going to be all good stuff. Now, Jared's right. You don't know what you have here until the very end. And I got all excited because the negativity is really bothering me, clearly. I was stroked out there. But and I'm back down to earth.
You're not alone. I do it once a week. It's all good.
You just can't when it's something different every day, it's alarming. Here's what I will say, though, that I don't think is being outside the box. That's obvious, but I'm going to state it. You can feel it. The Browns feel like they're behind. Alex Van Pelt's comments tell me they feel like they're behind. They're rushing to do things, and they don't have a lot of time to do it. So you just hope with all this knowledge, and I will say, here's where I will give credit. Watched and studied a lot of these coaches come through here. Stefanski is cool as the other side of the pillow.
Read my mind.
He is very cool and calm. It helps a lot.
There's no panic. There's urgency.
No,
but there's no panic.
The Van Pelt comments is what we used to hear a lot from our head coach. But I'm just glad to hear it from Van Pelt because it kind of gave me the reality of like, so no one's okay. Van Pelt's panicking. All right, cool. It's like so we're not crazy. But all that's to be said. There is still time. I will say this loud and clear. Preseasons and all these sports are the most overrated things most times. I thought it was always valuable in baseball. Even that is kind of worn on me. I don't know how valuable it is anymore. So to say that practice look bad and all that stuff, I don't know what that means. I don't know. But when you have all the injuries and the COVID-19 stuff over the weekend, Jared, it adds up. And the Browns, it doesn't mean anything in week 1, but it doesn't build hype. And it builds a fog. And it feels foggy. It just doesn't feel very good right now. And outside your OBJ catches and a few other things you're hearing here and there, it's just been very, very hard. I do want to touch on Mac Wilson. When we did this story last week, he got demoted to the second team, and then I just don't think. I just want to repeat this. We said this in the last podcast. I want to talk about it again. I don't think Mac Wilson's a bad guy. I think he had a very aggressive play. It was not the right play. I saw the video. It was too hard. It was clearly because they put him on the second team. It was clearly that. But I thought Mac Wilson's comments after practice on Twitter said a lot. I just practice with a lot of passion. My intentions is to never hurt anyone on my team, nor any other player I'm going up against. We good, though, keep the negative comments to yourself. No bark, all bite, hashtag. And of course, the next day, Mac got hurt, and more than likely, Mac's probably going to be out either half or most of the year again, too. Doesn't know. We don't know yet. But this depends on if they can have surgery or not.
I like Mac's tenacity. I like his attitude. I've loved it on and off the field. Where Mac has let me down has been in play, in game play.
Yeah.
Against the run play. So what we're talking about here is a guy that feels like he's got a lot of pressure on himself to begin with and just trying to make the best of his opportunities, right? That's where Mac Wilson is. Mac Wilson is a guy that you want to be great, that if his attitude and his passion made him great, he would be off the charts.
Yes.
That's how I feel about Mac Wilson. He's a gets us guy. You can tell.
I agree. That's what I'm saying.
But I also think it's unfair on the other side of that. I think it's unfair to think that Mac Wilson is ever going to lead this linebacker core, to think that he should ever have the pressure of being a top-notch linebacker on his shoulders. We've known linebacker position it was difficult last year, and you knew when you lose Schobert and Kirksey, you're thin. And if your hopes are on Mac Wilson, I'm sorry, that's the one that gets me.
Yeah.
That's the position that gets me. Linebacker, Mac Wilson, it's on no. But here we are.
Well, yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah, I mean, and Mac did a great job in pass coverage. Mac had some troubles with the run game. And so, he was like,
oh, it's beautiful. Right there in the middle of our 100th episode. The internet is acting stupid. Not sure whether Andy needs to rejoin us or what I'm going to do, but I'm going to text him right now, and hopefully we can get this ball rolling again. So I'm just texting. And I'm by myself. So let's see if Andy bounces back in. Texting me back now. What a bummer. What a bummer. Almost as much of a bummer as it is talking about the Browns right now. And we really don't even have that much to worry about. Okay. So it looks like it might have been Andy's computer. Wow, a total crash. All right, so that makes me feel a little bit better. That means it ain't on me and it ain't on my internet. I didn't think it was my upgrade. And I had mentioned Andy. I said, Andy, you look a little fuzzy today. The video looks a little off. I wonder if there was an issue then, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do other than entertain the two people who are currently watching live? What's up? To you two, whoever you may be, feel free to comment, message. Don't forget subscribe on iTunes, Andy and Jarid Cleveland and Beyond. And so Andy's going to jump back on. He's resetting his computer. Like you said, though, like we were talking about, to have all that pressure on Mac Wilson, that's just not fair. It's just not fair because there's no way that he's going to be able to shoulder everything that he needs to shoulder and just lead a linebacking core in his, second season. Like this just, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Which will probably have some people going, well, this is why you shouldn't have gotten rid of Kirksey, or this is why you should have re-signed Schobert, right? And according to Joe Schobert, he was never even offered anything. So I think that he's annoyed by that. And I don't know. I don't know. There's obviously a different direction that the Browns are going in, but at the same time, linebacker was a position where they struggled last year, and they're going to continue to struggle at linebacker this season. The hope was no one else was going to struggle. The secondary wasn't going to struggle. The defensive line wasn't going to struggle. But the possibility of the line struggling and the secondary struggling, well, guess what? Now you've got the trifecta, because guess what? The linebacking core, that's not going to be a position of strength within this team. It never was, and it won't be, period. Andy, welcome back. Glad to have you. Your computer, it just crashed. Is that what it was? Your screen, you look great now. Like, your connection looks amazing now. It didn't look amazing earlier, but it looks great now.
Well, like the Browns, you sometimes have to restart. So we had to restart.
We all need to restart. We all need to restart.
I'm going to move on from Mac Wilson. But yes,
I beat that dead horse.
Yeah. So here's the last few things. Glad to see there's some signings. You got Malcolm Smith coming in, former Super Bowl MVP, who's not a Super Bowl MVP anymore. And then you got guys like Ricky, a guy named Ricky Walker, who played in the XFL last year. You're going to hear more and more of this. You're hearing more and more rumors. Buckle up for this kind of stuff. I don't know what else to say. If that kind of signings drive you crazy, you're going to see more of this. My biggest point here to what my partner's alluding to, which I do agree with, look, it doesn't mean wins or losses. And we experienced the exact same thing last year on the opposite. I thought last year the training camp really went without a hitch. And then we came in and got smoked by the Titans. Smoked. So, it doesn't mean anything.
And the Titans blew.
All that to be said, this is not a good start from just a simple perspective of building up momentum and all this other stuff. Two other things I want to hit. I also want to say this Baker Mayfield story, it's either I do want to hear Jared, wouldn't it make you feel better to hear a little bit more positives about 6?
Yeah, because here, let me pose this question to you. This is where it starts to get a little tricky. Obviously, the new regime came in and they didn't want to completely throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? That's the way that they came in, and I have praised them for that decision.
Didn't have any choice.
Well, they did. It just would have been wash, rinse, repeat the same shit we've been going through over and over again.
Right.
They could have done it.
No, you're right. You're right.
But they didn't.
That would have been the wrong decision.
But okay. Now I will say this. Does Baker get the same freebie season that the coaching staff gets? Yeah, I didn't think so.
We talked about
then what are you looking at?
Draft.
Then what are you thinking?
Trevor Lawrence.
That's
yep.
But is Trevor Lawrence? Is that where we want to go?
I hope we don't have to start talking that way. But I said this back in January. I'm not off it. If 6 stinks or 6 struggles, you're heading down that road.
There are people that have made and a lot of it's because they're looking for clout. But there's people that really genuinely believe Case Keenum will be in there starting at some point this season.
That's you know what? Okay, that could happen. If that I will repeat this statement. If that happens, the Browns are in bigger trouble down the road.
Yeah. You ain't
That's
kidding.
Not what you want.
You ain't kidding.
That is not, and I'm telling you, the way the season's being built up, Case Keenum's going to lead you 5 or 6 wins too. It's not, folks. 6 has to perform for this team to win.
Period.
If Case Keenum comes in, it's a Band-Aid over a bigger gash, and that's going to be major surgery.
Yep.
Because you're going into the world of looking for a quarterback again. That's not what you want here. It's not. And by the way, this is a huge thing for Dorsey's legacy here, which I don't even know what that means anymore. But this is a huge thing too because we all know this. If you do shit like that, it does not mean in the Haslam era you're going to get a job forever. That is a huge risk. This is such a big thing. That's why putting in all these efforts and frustrations and practices to me isn't crazy, because you get it. This year is not a normal year because again, we all say it. Can you imagine 6 and 10 getting fired up again in 2021 about Baker and the boys?
Well,
it's hard.
The way that people are talking about the offense right now, this really sets up for the coaching staff to go, well, we kept them around and we tried to implement what we wanted to do, and we gave them every chance we could. This is on him, not us. Now, granted, they'll never say it in that way, but you get the point. You had a chance. You were here. We put you on a good path. We were consistent with how we taught, with how we trained, with how we wanted you, how we coached.
Yep.
With the system we put in place that was meant to accentuate and your skills and bring out the best in you, which is what it sounds like right now. With the bootleg, with the rolling out, with the adding of the fullbacks, with the adding of another tight end. Those are all things that are good for Baker. So, if that doesn't work, that's it.
I think 6-10, 7-9's on the fringe too. I just don't see it. Don't see it. I think you're going down a new road of a new quarterback. Yep. There's going to be 1,500 fans coming to First Energy Stadium this year because it's either 15% if you have a max capacity below that, which obviously the Browns do not. The Browns 15% would be more like 10 to 12,000. So 1,500 fans this year. Would not be surprised if all those tickets sold out quickly for that. And that's it. They're trying to get more, but I don't think that's going to be possible. We'll have to wait and see. And I don't think this was a surprise. I didn't see much pushback, which was good. No Muni lot. There will be no tailgating around the stadium this year. It is go to the game, go home, see ya, take care, goodbye. That's how it's going to be played out this year. So, there won't be any of that Barley House stuff or the stuff you see online. None of that stuff's going to be happening.
Yeah, I noticed that a couple of other teams, I think the Bills came out today too and said that they were not going to have any fans for the first 2 games at least of the season. Other teams are doing the same thing with no fans. I'm okay with that. I like the idea of 1,500 fans. I think they could go with more than that, but I think that what they want to keep an eye on is how rowdy fans get and how, whether we police ourselves, so to speak.
1,500 fans is perfect.
I think that's perfect. I think, watch them all pile into one spot over in the dog pound.
I will say you're going to see some interesting cutaways because you can't hide in a 1,500 crowd that has 6 foot of spacing.
There's the fights and all that shit. If you're going to see them on live television, not just on YouTube.
Yeah, if you are having a bad day as a fan and get a little too tipsy from too much coffee, you're going to be pointed out in the stands. You're not going to hide between said friends or whatever else. All that to be said, a long road ahead. The Browns have a day off on Wednesday, the 26th. Thank God. And then they go back to work on Thursday for 4 more days. Again, I agree with everything Jared Watson said. I'm just telling you, you got to have some positive buildup. Speaking of positivity,
right.
Let's go to the Indians. Now, talk about a roller fucking coaster. Today is Tuesday, 25th. For those of you who had on your bingo card, Mike Clevinger will be starting on Tuesday. Well, you are the winner. You may come on down and get your prize because Mike Clevinger will be announced today. Chris Antonetti, we determined we had some good choices at the alternate site. We determined that going with Mike was the best thing, end quote. To the bigger point, so what does that mean for Zach Plesac? Because McKenzie was announced as of yesterday and over the weekend that he's going to be starting on Saturday in St. Louis. Antonetti, he called in Zach Plesac after the decision was made to have Mike Clevinger start tomorrow, and he explained to Plesac that they don't have an opportunity for him at this time at the major league level.
Holy shit, Andy.
So,
Andy, all right, so let's start out with this then. What I'm getting out of that from Antonetti is there are things that we are not aware of. There has to be. Because if you are going to bring a lying sneak back and let him start with being around the guys who are ready to choke his ass out and not bring up the young dumbass who made a mistake, who we thought you could keep around and corrective action correct and bring back. This is a flip-flop. This is a Freaky Friday incident. This is swapping. I had no idea, and nor could I have predicted that the Indians would decide to bring Clevinger back and not bring Plesac back. That blows my mind. And Andy, that tells me there has to be something that we don't know about that's going on. And I think it's got to be more than that dumbass video that he made. There has to be. But at the same time, I will say this, and I will caution this to Antonetti, to the rest of the team, and anyone else who gives a shit about the Indians. Again, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Clevinger will fuck up again in the future. Let's just put it that way. At some point, somehow, some way, I will put my money on Clevinger fucking up again, because I think that it is just who he is. That's where I'm at with Clevinger. If the Indians think differently, I think they're making a mistake, but at the same time, maybe I'm missing something.
So I think my partner's onto something. I would have also started Plesac. I get the feeling Clevinger starting, not because there's anything we don't know about the stories. I think this story's been vetted out. I think this is all about Clevinger getting traded, which I think is going to happen. And I think they're going to showcase him to get his ass out of Cleveland. I think that's the reason why he is starting on Tuesday. And more from Mandy Bell on Buster Only today, just a few minutes ago, to trade rumors from Andy Martino at SNY. The drumbeat is getting louder and louder about the Indians and Yankees who have made trades recently in recent years. We all remember Andrew Miller making another trade again. That drumbeat is getting louder and louder and louder. Now, I don't think Lindor reports. Look, I'm going to put that aside, because I will probably stroke out if he plays for the Yankees.
No, the Yankees can wish in one hand and shit in the other and see which one goes up first. And there's no way that they're going to trade him to the Yankees. Sorry, it's not happening.
No, but Clevinger going to the Yanks because they need starting pitching.
And they'll have to cut his hair.
And we get Andujar and we get Clint Frazier back. Oh yeah, and by the way, I heard some debate today. Oh, Andujar, where would he play in the Indians? Because he's a natural DH. We will put Franmil Reyes in the outfield. And Mr. Andujar can play DH. Yeah. This team, there's 3 or 4 things here. This is surprising.
People are tired of seeing Freeman in the outfield.
Oh my God, that drop fly ball. These lineups of Luplow, Greg Allen, and Mike Freeman. Oh, Jarid. Oh, I know, but Jarid, Luplow's a pinch hitter at best, and he's finally batting above 100, thank God. But it's like Mike Freeman's a pinch hitter at best. Like, these are not guys who can be, if your outfield coming into these big series is Greg Allen center field, Mike Freeman in left field, Luplow. I'm waving white flag. We're fucked. Goodbye. Take care. Bye.
This series is more important than I think the Indians are making it right now.
Oh, I agree.
You're halfway done with the season, and you come out there and you leave 10 men on base.
Mike Freeman's dropping fly balls.
Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, this team of even on Sunday, Luplow, Greg Allen.
By the way, the bunt would have been great yesterday.
If anyone
would have dropped a bunt, it would have been great.
I love the bunt.
There were opportunities for a lot of bunting yesterday to spark something, to move runners, to get that extra run, because you can't lose 3-2 to the fucking Twins. We can't lose every game to the fucking Twins and expect do anything.
Rogers shuts us down. The Indians are just fine. Sanu hit a big home run. Twins are better. The Twins are clearly better than the Indians. They are clearly better than the Indians. My Indians, his Indians, our Indians. They're better. The Twins are running laps around us right now. Laps. They're laughing. And Romo chewing us out in the dugout, getting motivated, throwing shit. Yeah, I'm tired of it. I don't want to lose to the Twins anymore. And they're clearly better than us. And they're mocking us. In every game, 3-2. Well, it's a scrappy loss. Shut up. Let's win these games.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. These losses are terrifyingly bad. I agree with Jared. You just want to jump off the plank. You just knew in the ninth.
Is there anything more fun than leaving 2 men on base every year? Is there anything more entertaining than watching your team leave 2 men on base every fucking inning?
Well, how many times too? Okay, I love J-Ram striking out in big pitches. Lindor, hey, I get it. It's been a short, weird season. Time to go. Let's push the pedal to the metal. Carlos Santana having better weeks, fine. You know what? He had a better series, whatever, good.
Brand Mills swinging at ball 3 and 4.
Luplow doesn't intimidate anybody. Greg Allen, okay, he had a couple hits, whip-de-doo. Who cares? He can't be playing in big games. We know that. You know what? Where's Daniel Johnson? Let's bring him up. Let's get some excitement. Let's get some energy. I can't do this outfield every day. Back to Clevinger. I want to get back to that for a second.
Yeah,
sorry. Then we'll jump back.
No.
This is still
you brought up something, Andy. You brought up something that I actually wasn't really thinking about, and that is the whole idea of showcasing. Yeah,
it's showcasing.
And that makes sense. And by the way, what does that mean? What do you think that means? The police act talking about we don't have room up for you. I think that's just another reminder to them that you're not out of the doghouse yet. That's the way they're doing it. If that's how they're doing it, then they're showcasing Clevinger, get him out of town, and then hopefully Plesac in a week or two, they'll say okay. But that depends too, because you still have to decide whether the rest of this team is okay with him coming back up. That's a big part.
I still don't think it's the right move, though. I think they should have started Plesac. If Clevenger's going to go, just have him go. And by the way, we don't know that. I'll say this too, to what Jared's alluding to, though. Let's say Clevinger stays. Plesac's in a weird place now.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is now. There's this whole other element about the Indians, which I hate to get into, but we just need to, because we all root for him and we like him a lot. Cookie Carrasco doesn't pitch well.
Yeah.
And he's not pitching well. So does that mean at some point that Cookie moves the bullpen and Plesac takes that spot and you keep Clevinger? I don't know. All I will say, though, is, and by the way, that might be another option.
Oh, and that would be good for the team anyways.
It would have been. But
Carrasco would be fine, and it would be great in that bullpen.
And by the way, he's good in the initial innings. He just has these bad middle innings.
And he loses his control out of nowhere.
Oh, just nowhere. And does not look confident. Does not look confident. Now, here's the thing, though, and I did not do this well in the last podcast. I want to make sure I make it clear. I still think the team who had to vote whatever. Okay, so Clevenger's back, whatever. I think Clevinger needs to be traded, and now it's for a multitude of reasons. And I'm going to be clear about this. A, for his bullshit that everything had happened. Clevinger, I don't want to get into good or bad guy. What he did was wrong, and I don't think it's good for this team. I just don't think it's good for this team. I think he needs to go. Part two is this team is short 2.5 bats. And if you have an opportunity to trade for him and get bats, you actually have to do it. It has been clear. It is, again, nothing against these gentlemen. They're not bad guys. But the day, like, when DeShields got hurt, my first inkling was like, well, here we go. And by the way, why can't Naquin play every day? I like Naquin playing every day. I want Naquin playing every day. Naquin needs to be playing every day. I don't know if he's the best outfielder in baseball. And actually, I do know that. Wait, let me back up. He is not. He's in the bottom half. But for this team, he's one of the best. He's got to be playing every day, Jared. I don't understand this. Like, Greg Allen's a nice player. Well, he's not a starter.
Here's Andy. I think a part of this that we have to add into this equation is the fact that Tito hasn't been around every week.
I was going to mention that
week out, and I think that's affecting some of this.
No doubt.
Sandy's coming in there, and Sandy's coaching how Sandy wants to coach, and that is entirely the way to go. You cannot have Sandy coming in there, and I can't remember who said it, and I don't remember whether we talked about it. Sandy isn't coming in there to try to be Tito. Sandy is coming in there and is going to be Sandy. Antonetti is being Antonetti, but you know that he's probably there's a little more pressure on him in regards to this situation when you're talking about Tito not being around. Tito, you just hope, and word is he will be okay, but he had a stent to deal with to help with blood flow because he had some clotting. So Tito's he's doing okay, but he's still not ready to come back. And it's going to be this way. The difficult thing is, Andy, this is such a short season where you need a guy to have his finger on the pulse and plug and play and pull and move and make these and just roll with the punches. And we don't have that right now because we don't have the consistency of having Terry Francona in that dugout at the moment. And you wonder if that might have something to do with some of the way that things are going. And I'm not mad about those things. I'm not throwing a fit about those things. I know that they will work themselves out, especially by the end of this season when it comes playoff time, because I'm not worried that, at least at this point, I'm not worried that the Indians won't be in the playoffs. What I want them to be is ready for the playoffs and know their lineup and know who they're going to go with and have a solid idea of what the outfield's going to look like. But this is 2 years straight of this outfield being what the fuck, and I thought we had it figured out, Andy, and we don't.
I think the Indians are on the edge. I think the Indians have a long road to go. I don't think it's a guarantee at all. I think the Indians have to start hitting better. I agree with Jared's assessment completely. I mean, you've heard, for people who don't know, and we all are big believers in Francona, so I agree with him. However, last night, Sandy Alomar doesn't have a bat either. This team's got to start hitting. You hear it on every. It's like the reading of the offense for the Browns right now. No matter who you listen to, the Indians right now can hit off-speed pitching to save their life, and it's consistent every night. And now it's to the point where they're not swinging at good fastball pitches, and you're starting to see that now. And you're starting to see. And I'll tell you again, support him, love him. I love his hustle. The helmet thing, all that. Hey, whatever. J-Ram's got to start playing better. Lindor's got to start playing better. It's got to be said more. Those guys have got to elevate. And again, not bad guys. But I'm sorry, Freeman, Luplow, Allen. No. That is not going to stand. The Indians are on the edge of not making the playoffs. I think they'll be okay and make it, but I think there's a long road to go. Because let's just be honest. The Indians have the starting pitching. They have the make. But they've been squeezing out wins against the Pirates and Tigers last 9 days, up until the Twins. Okay, they go play in St. Louis after this.
And let's be real, they lost to the Tigers out of those games.
Yes, and by the way, because they can't hit, team can't hit.
No.
It is so evident. And these games, these strikeout things are just boring. Did I freeze up? Is that you freezing up this time, or is it me?
That's you frozen.
Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Nope.
You can't hear me.
Cycling. Let's see if he comes back.
Can you hear me?
This time's Jared. But anyways, like the Indians, again, like it is so much of the time that they just cannot. Oh, cycling. There he is. Oh, I see him texting. He's frozen. He's smiling.
I mean,
we're almost there. I can feel it.
I can see you.
It's podcast. It's like everything we've been going through.
This is as painful as
I can hear him.
We had today.
It's like a checkerboard. This sums up.
And now Andy's gone. Wow. How annoying is that? Twice in one episode. Twice. Is that a bad sign for the show? Is that a bad sign that our 100th episode has been a complete shit show? That the internet has given out on us twice now? Well, we're waiting on Andy to come back. And I'm going to go ahead and send him another quick message. I'm still live. Jump back on. And roll from there. And we'll wait on Andy. But, all right. When we're talking about the Indians and we're talking about them not hitting, I don't know what else we're supposed to talk about. Because we can focus on the good pitching, but we've already done how many episodes about how good this pitching has been? We've already done how many episodes about how best rotation in baseball, yada, yada, whatever it may be. The fact that they are hitting as poorly as they are, I personally cannot understand. I do not understand where that comes from. Because these are guys that throughout their history as ball players can hit and have shown they can hit. But we've also run into the issue of a lot of them getting cold. A lot of them going cold and not being able to get over their struggles for 10, 12, 30 games. And that's not going to work in a 60-game season. And that's something that Andy and I talked about at the beginning of this season. That if this team plays like this, then you're not going to do well. In a 162-game season, you can start out cold. But right now, we're already more than halfway. We're halfway, more than halfway. We're right about halfway through this season. It's almost over. And you've got guys, you've got a team. Good Lord, what are they batting as a team? 160? What are they batting as a team, Andy? 160?
I don't know. It's like my internet. My internet's calling. It's totally gone. It's not good.
So Andy called back. Andy, are you on your? So you're on your phone now?
Yeah. So we'll make this quick and brief. Maybe we'll do a part 2 show tomorrow to recap. Actually, it might be more entertaining. So here's a quick thing. There's obviously the internet gods wanted to make sure this show was disrupted as many times as possible. So we'll do a part 2 tomorrow. I just want to throw in a couple things.
Well, before you do, we should talk about this real quick. Robin's commenting on Facebook, and she's right. She's talking about changing the batting order. Yeah, that might be a part of it. There are some things about the batting order, but Cesar Hernandez has been the one bright spot offensively, and I'm glad that she mentioned that. I'm glad that she brought that up because he has been hitting the ball. So
really good. Look, Cesar Hernandez, Carlos Santana because of his walk. Reyes, they're fine. Lindor has to play better. Sorry. J-Ram's got to play better. Sorry. They're not playing up to their abilities. They're just not. Like, J-Ram had a couple games, but before the other day, he was like, what, 0 for 18, 0 for 20?
Well, yeah, and I don't know, but Perez didn't have a great day yesterday, did he?
Perez is okay. I'm
right.
It up real quickly. The Perez and catcher situation, he's great behind the plate. We know in a big spot in the playoffs he can get a big hit. We're all being truthful and honest. Perez this year has stunk. And the bat. He's great behind the plate, but Perez has stunk. Real quickly, and then we'll do a part 2 tomorrow. The McKenzie story was wonderful. It brought a breath of fresh air. He saved the weekend. He's the last. He was the only guy. It was the only thing that really brought light to this weekend. I love his stuff. He's exciting. This is why the Clevinger trade has picked up steam, because it makes sense. It just makes sense.
It does make sense. And Andy, I've talked about this when you weren't on. I can only talk about how good the rotation is so many times. If they don't start hitting the ball, none of it's going to fucking matter.
No, it doesn't. And again, Bieber tonight, there's rumors Bieber's going to win AL MVP. That's how good he's been. And that's from national writers, not people locally, national writers. Bieber, save us, please. My God, save us.
Well, there's already folks that are talking about not only Bieber being a possible Cy Young future kid, but also the fact that McKenzie will be too. So, again, the team is set up perfectly if you love great pitching. Hit the fucking ball.
And hit to save your life.
And these are guys that have, and this is what I said too while you were gone, that these are guys who historically can hit. But we don't have time in a short season. 10 game slump, 20 game slump, 30 game slump. Get a sense of somebody needs a fire up their ass.
Look, if it takes bunting, you bunt. Get the job done. Get the job done. McKenzie's great though. I love this kid. I love his excitement. We needed that over the weekend. And I won't take away anything from the Bucko series. Carlos Santana hitting game-winning home runs is great. I'll throw that in here real quick too. And hopefully Bieber saves us, and we'll do more on that tomorrow. Real quickly, everybody who's down and downtrodden on the Cavs. Look, the Cavs. There are many Hall of Famers who came from the 5th spot in a draft. Do your homework. Get the job done. Draft someone who can win his big games. Hey, we didn't get the number 1 draft pick. The Cavs have had so many number 1 draft picks that I can't even cry about it. Get the best kid you can. Get him at 5, and let's just start winning some games. Just start. And by the way, I don't think the Cavs will be playing anytime soon.
The Cavs are so far off my radar right now. There's
so Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, targeting excited about the Cavs.
No.
By the way, that Luka Doncic is a star, absolute star.
Yep.
Absolute star. That game on Sunday was one. We'll do. Yeah. Can you do tomorrow? We'll do more tomorrow.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know that I'm going to be available. I don't know if I'm going to be available tomorrow. We might have to wait till Friday, but one way or another, we'll get another show in and we'll get this figured out. So,
well, we'll do a part 2 and add this and throw this on there. But anyways, I guess to recap, good news: the Browns can't do anything tomorrow. They have the day off. The Indians need a hit. Bieber, save us. Hopefully, Francona's okay. Hopefully.
All right, and Andy's in and out. Just so you know, Andy, you're in and out too. So I'm just going to wrap it. Don't forget, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond, on Twitter @CLE and Beyond. Email us, Andy and Jared @gmail.com. We are brought to you by Waiting for Next Year. Check them out, original Cleveland sports reporting at waitingfornextyear.com. This is as awful as a 100th episode could ever go.
Best 100th episode ever.
He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. Andy and Jared, Cleveland and Beyond. I'm going to go make another drink. Hit the ball. Hit the ball. Hit the ball.
Just hit
the fucking ball.
Bunt.
Hit. How about this? Don't try to pull balls that are off the plate on the opposite side. Push it the other way.
Bieber, save us. Just pitch a no-hitter.
All right, I'm done talking.
Pitch a no-hitter.